They all roared with laughter. I didn't say a word, but when she showed up crying at my door later, she got a surprise she never expected. I'm a 33-year-old guy, and honestly, I never thought I'd be that guy posting here. But here I am. Buckle up. This one's a ride. Last weekend, I was supposed to go on an overnight trip with the boys, a plan we'd made months ago to catch the big game 2 states over. But at the last minute, Daryl's kid got sick and we had to cancel. No big deal. These things happen. I figured I'd surprise my wife Heather, 32F, my partner of 8 years, by coming home early. Yeah, I know how that usually ends in these kinds of stories. And sure, I was expecting something bad, but what actually happened was somehow worse than walking in on her with someone else. It was around 9 p.m. when I pulled into our driveway. There were a few cars parked out front. I immediately recognized Michelle's Subaru and Kathleen's Honda. Heather had mentioned having some of the girls over while I was gone, so it all checked out. I was about to walk through the front, when I heard voices and laughter coming from the back deck. Loud, wine-drunk laughter. I figured I'd head around back to say hi, surprise them. But just as I reached the gate, I heard my name. I paused. Call it instinct. Griffin is just so... I can't even... Heather slurred. The girls giggled. Oh my God, I still can't believe you've kept this going so long, Michelle said. He's too stupid to realize I've been cheating for years, Heather practically shouted. They howled with laughter. I froze halfway to the deck. My brain just stopped. Sutton's been the best decision I ever made, she went on. Last week, while Griffin was working late, Sutton came over and we did it right on the couch where Griffin takes his precious little naps. More laughter. No, not the sacred nap couch, Kathleen screeched like it was the most hilarious thing in the world. And you should have seen how sweet Griffin was the next day, Heather laughed. He made me breakfast, avocado toast and those eggs I love, brought me coffee in bed, told me he loved me. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. That breakfast, I remembered it. I'd put love into every detail. I'd looked her in the eye that morning and told her she meant the world to me. I don't know how long I stood there listening to them trade stories. My entire body was shaking. I learned everything, that my work trips were her favorite times to have Sutton over, that their affair had been going on for over 3 years, that the weekend of my father's funeral, when she told me she had food poisoning and couldn't come, she had been with him. I didn't say a word, didn't confront them, didn't cause a scene. I just walked back to my car, drove to the Target parking lot down the road, and sat there for over an hour trying to remember how to breathe. A grown man, hyperventilating in a parking lot at 10 p.m. on a Saturday. When I could finally think straight, I called Daryl. Thank God his kid was feeling better and he picked up. Dude, my whole life just imploded. Don't go home, he said. Come crash here. We'll figure this out. At Daryl's, I paced his living room for hours while he Googled divorce attorneys. My mind was racing, flipping through every moment of the past few years that now made sense. Those girls' trips where she barely came back with any photos, how she always kept her phone face down, the hotel charges less than 30 minutes from our house, all those late-night showings for clients that stretched into midnight hours. I felt like the biggest fool on the planet. At around 3:00 a.m., I got a text from Heather. Girls are crashed here. Hope you're having fun with the boys. Love you. The audacity. I nearly threw my phone across the room. You need to be smart about this, Daryl said, taking my phone. Don't tip her off. Not yet. The next morning, I pretended everything was normal. Told her I crashed at Daryl's after too much drinking. She bought it. No hesitation. Even had the nerve to complain about cleaning up after the girls while nursing a hangover. Over the next week, I went full recon mode. Every time she showered, I checked her phone. Thousands of texts with Sutton, going back years. Hotel receipts. Explicit photos. Screenshots of everything. Sent to a private email I created just for this. Then I combed through our finances. Hundreds of dollars in unexplained restaurant charges. Lingerie I'd never seen. She even used our joint account to book a romantic weekend getaway while I was burying my father. Every new discovery felt like another knife in the chest. 8 years of marriage. All the times I defended her to my family, told them they didn't know her like I did. All our plans, the house, the kids next year, shattered. I met with a divorce attorney on my lunch break, the most aggressive one in town according to Google reviews. She laid it all out clearly. Document everything. Secure your finances. Prepare for the storm. You're doing the right thing by not confronting her yet. The more prepared we are, the stronger your position. That night, I sat beside Heather on the couch, watching her laugh at something on her phone, probably texting him. Something inside me flipped. The fire in my chest turned to ice. I didn't just want out of this marriage. I wanted justice. You see, Heather's whole identity was built on this polished image, admired, respected, the perfect wife with the perfect life. The moral compass of her friend group, the one everyone turned to for advice. And now, I had proof that it was all a lie. So I made my moves, transferred half of our savings into a new private account, changed all my passwords, backed up every important document, photographed all the valuables in the house, signed a lease on a new apartment, told my family everything, and got their full support. Meanwhile, I kept up the act. Kissed her goodbye in the morning, asked about her day, watched Netflix beside her while she texted Sutton under the covers. Each day I played the part of the clueless, loving husband while preparing to blow up her entire world. And 2 weeks in, I was ready. Who were horrified by what she'd done. The hardest part was keeping my cool when she looked me in the eyes and lied, when she said, "I love you" before bed, when she suggested we start trying for a baby next month. Each time, I wanted to scream in her face. But I stayed calm, because I knew something she didn't. The woman who laughed about how stupid I was had no idea I was about to become the most methodical, unforgiving force she'd ever face. And I was going to do it all by the book. TLDR. Overheard my wife bragging to friends about cheating for years. Instead of confronting her, I spent weeks gathering evidence and preparing the most comprehensive divorce strategy possible. The countdown to D-Day has begun. Update first off, holy crap, you guys. I didn't expect my post to blow up like that. Thanks for all the support and the Reddit Gold WTF. For those asking if this is creative writing practice, I wish. It's been 3 weeks since my last update, and a lot has happened, so buckle up. Remember how I said I had a plan? Well, I've been executing it with military precision. The day after my last post, Heather started acting weird, extra nice, making my favorite dinners, initiating sex, even suggesting we look at houses in better neighborhoods. At first, I thought maybe she'd found out I knew, but then I realized classic guilt, classic cheater behavior. According to every Reddit thread I'd been obsessively reading at 3 a.m., this was textbook. Let me break down exactly what I've been doing. Finances. Priority number 1. I'd already moved half our savings to my personal account. Then I documented every single expense related to her affair. Hotel charges. Itemized dinners she claimed were with clients, but were actually with Sutton. I made a spreadsheet. The lingerie she bought for him. I photographed every receipt. My lawyer said this could be considered dissipation of marital assets. Basically, she was spending our money on her affair. I also froze our joint credit cards, told her there was suspicious activity, and that the bank was sending new ones. Technically true, LOL. This gave me time to remove her as an authorized user on my main card. The look on her face when her card got declined at Sephora? Priceless. She called me ranting about how embarrassing it was. I just played dumb and said the new cards must be delayed, moving out my stuff. Quietly, I started moving only the irreplaceable things to my new apartment. My dad's watch, family photos, important documents. I did this while she was out showing houses, aka screwing Sutton. Each time I moved something, I replaced it with a cheap duplicate or just rearranged things so she wouldn't notice anything missing. This is where Daryl was clutch. He helped me compile everything into what we called the nuclear file. Screenshots of texts, photos, hotel receipts, credit card statements, a timeline of her affair, and a USB with recordings of her phone calls with Sutton. We live in a one-party consent state. I made multiple copies. One for me, one for my lawyer, one for Sutton's wife. Yeah, I found her. And one that would eventually go to Heather's parents. The social angle. This part was tricky. I wanted to control the narrative before Heather spun some BS story to make me look like the bad guy. So I started having casual guy talks with our mutual friends. Nothing obvious, just mentioning how Heather seemed distant lately, asking if marriage was supposed to feel this lonely sometimes, planting seeds of doubt without revealing what I knew. I also took screenshots of Heather's Instagram, where she portrayed our marriage as relationship goals, all while she was actively cheating. The hypocrisy was next level. Then came D-Day. I picked the date strategically, the day of Heather's big client appreciation event she'd been planning for months. That morning, I acted completely normal, made coffee, kissed her goodbye, told her good luck with her event. She left looking confident as hell in her expensive outfit, one I now realized I basically paid for so she could look good for other men. At exactly 10 a.m., I sent the nuclear file to Sutton's wife via courier, included my phone number if she wanted to talk. By noon, all hell broke loose. I was at my new apartment when my phone started blowing up. Why is Sutton's wife calling me? Did you talk to her? Answer your phone. I didn't respond. Just watched the messages pile up. Then, Laura, Sutton's wife, called me. We talked for almost an hour. She was devastated, but grateful. Apparently, Sutton had been gaslighting her for years about her paranoia. Laura told me Sutton was now frantically trying to save their marriage, which meant throwing Heather completely under the bus. By 2 p.m., Heather's client event was in shambles. She had to leave early because of the emergency. She kept calling me nonstop at 3 p.m. I sent a brief, factual email to her parents. No emotional language, just the timeline and key evidence. I've always respected them, and they deserve to know who their daughter really is. I explained I didn't want to hurt them, but I couldn't let Heather control the narrative. By 6 p.m., I was sitting calmly in our living room when Heather finally came home. Her mascara was everywhere, and she looked like she'd aged 10 years in one day. She started with anger. How dare you tell Laura? How could you betray me like this? Then she quickly shifted to bargaining. When she realized I wasn't reacting, she tried everything. Tears, screaming, seduction, more tears. I just sat there calm as a cucumber and said, "We both know exactly what's going on." Then I handed her the divorce papers my lawyer had prepared. The color drained from her face when she realized this wasn't some spontaneous reaction. I'd been planning this for weeks, sleeping next to her every night. That's when she noticed some of my things were missing. I told her I'd be staying elsewhere and that she had 3 days to figure out her living situation before I informed our landlord about the breach of our lease. We had a morality clause, another thing my lawyer found useful. The next few days were interesting. She swung between threatening me, "You'll never get away with this," begging, "We can fix this. It was just physical. I've always loved only you," and trying to play the victim. I was lonely. You work too much. Meanwhile, her social circle was imploding. Michelle and Kathleen ghosted her once they realized their role in this might become public. Her parents called and had a very disappointing conversation with her. Her mom told me this when she called to apologize to me and Sutton. That coward Sutton was in full damage control with his wife, telling her Heather was obsessed with him and wouldn't leave him alone. The financial reality hit Heather hard when she realized half our savings was legally moved to my account. Her access to our joint credit cards was gone, and she couldn't afford the rent on her own. Her disaster meant she'd probably lose clients too. Yesterday was the final nail. She found out from mutual friends that everyone knew what she did. Not because I went around telling people directly, but because Sutton's wife apparently told her friends, who told their friends, and so on. The social circle Heather had carefully built around her perfect image was collapsing. She showed up at my new apartment last night. Somehow she got my address, probably from her friend who works at the leasing office across town. She was sobbing on my doorstep, makeup running, looking completely broken. For a split second, I almost felt bad for her. Almost. I let her in because my neighbors were starting to notice, and I'm not about creating scenes. She immediately launched into how she'd made a terrible mistake, how she'd do anything to fix it, how she couldn't believe she'd risked our marriage for someone like Sutton. I just looked at her and said, "Remember when you told your friends I was too stupid to realize you were cheating? Well, surprise." The look on her face when she realized I'd heard everything that night, I can't even describe it. Pure shock, then horror, then shame. She started to say something about how she didn't mean it. She was drunk. It was just talk, blah, blah, blah. I cut her off and told her to sit down because I had something to show her. When Heather showed up crying at my door, she got a surprise she never expected, a complete breakdown of her new financial reality. I had spreadsheets, projections, and a detailed accounting of exactly how she was going to be after this divorce. TLDR. I executed my plan perfectly, exposed my wife's affair to everyone who matters, secured my finances, and watched her entire world collapse in real time. She came begging for forgiveness, but got a financial reality check instead. Final update. It's been 6 months since my last post. First off, thanks for all the DMs checking if I'm still alive. I am. I just needed time to process everything before sharing the conclusion of this whole saga. You know those YouTube videos where they demolish old buildings? How it starts with small, strategic explosions before the whole structure collapses in on itself? That's basically what happened to my ex-wife's life. And I had a front row seat. The morning after Heather showed up crying at my apartment, I woke up with a weird sense of calm for the first time in months. I slept through the night without waking up at 3 a.m. with that knot in my stomach. I made myself some coffee, scrolled through Reddit, and realized I didn't immediately check my phone for messages from her. Progress. Meanwhile, Heather was experiencing what my therapist later called consequences culture. After leaving my apartment, she apparently drove straight to Michelle's place, expecting her BFF to take her in. According to our mutual friend Jake, Michelle literally pretended not to be home, even though her car was in the driveway and the lights were on. Top-tier friendship right there. So, what's happened since then? Let me break it down. The divorce proceedings. The actual legal process was surprisingly smooth. My lawyer was worth every penny. During mediation, Heather tried to argue that she deserved half of everything because one mistake shouldn't erase 8 years of marriage. The mediator, an older lady with zero tolerance for BS, just stared at her and asked, "Does 3 years of documented infidelity count as one mistake?" When Heather realized her usual play-the-victim routine wasn't working, she switched to threats. She said she'd drag my name through the mud, tell everyone I was abusive, which I wasn't, and make the divorce as painful as possible. My lawyer simply slid the photo evidence of her with Sutton across the table and reminded her that Maryland is a state where adultery can impact alimony decisions. The look on Heather's face was priceless, like realizing you brought a knife to a nuclear war. We settled 2 weeks later. I kept my retirement accounts and most of our assets. She got enough to start over, but nowhere near the lifestyle she was accustomed to. The judge even told her she was fortunate, given the circumstances. The financial fallout. This part was tough to watch, even for me. Heather had to move in with her parents in their retirement community at 32, from our luxury apartment to a guest room with floral wallpaper and a twin bed she'd had since high school. She tried to keep up appearances on Instagram for a while, posting lots of cryptic quotes about growth and trusting the journey, with strategic angles that didn't show she was living in her childhood bedroom. But social media is weirdly transparent these days. People notice when you suddenly start posting throwbacks instead of new content. Her financial situation went from bad to worse when she lost her job, not directly because of the affair. Her boss didn't care about her personal life, but because she kept missing work and showing up late. Depression, probably. Can't say I didn't understand that part. The social aftermath. This was the most fascinating part to watch unfold. Our social circle fractured in ways I never expected. Team Griffin. Daryl, obviously, Jake and his wife, most of my co-workers, and weirdly Heather's cousin Tina, who apparently always knew Heather was selfish. Team Heather. Initially just her parents, but even they kept her at arm's length according to family gossip. Then she somehow reconnected with Kathleen, who had gone through her own divorce and was in a men are trash phase. Team Nobody. Most people just distance themselves from both of us. Can't blame them. Nobody wants to get dragged into divorce drama. The strangest development was Michelle. After ghosting Heather initially, she reached out to me on Facebook to check how I was doing and asked if we could grab coffee sometime. I declined. Something about the way she jumped ship the moment Heather was struggling felt off to me. The Sutton situation, Laura Sutton, Sutton's wife, and I kept in touch, not romantically, just two people processing similar betrayals. We'd grab lunch every few weeks and update each other. Apparently, Sutton tried reconciliation tactics straight out of a bad rom-com, standing outside their house with a boombox, sending massive flower arrangements to her workplace, even trying to get their pastor involved. None of it worked. Laura filed for divorce 3 weeks after D-Day and moved in with her sister in Pennsylvania. Last I heard, she's dating a kindergarten teacher who coaches Little League on weekends. Good for her. Sutton tried to reach out to me, sending a long text about how we're both victims and how Heather pursued him aggressively. I just responded with, "Okay," which felt both dismissive and perfectly adequate. My personal journey. This part's harder to write about. The first month after moving out, I basically became a hermit. Worked, came home, ordered DoorDash, binged whatever was new on Netflix, slept, repeat. My apartment looked like a college dorm. Mattress on the floor, 1 pot, 2 plates, no decoration. Daryl finally staged an intervention, showed up one Saturday morning with bagels and forced me to talk about how I was feeling. I'm not much of a crier. But man, that day was rough. I told him things I hadn't even admitted to myself, how beneath the anger I was just sad. Sad about the years wasted, sad about the future I thought I had, sad that someone I trusted completely could betray me so casually. After that, I started therapy. Found a guy through BetterHelp who specialized in betrayal trauma. He didn't try to push reconciliation or forgiveness or any of that Hallmark card BS. He just gave me practical tools to process what happened and move forward. Small steps followed. Got a proper bed frame, joined a local soccer league, actually accepted invitations to social events instead of making excuses, started cooking again instead of living off frozen pizzas and protein shakes. 2 months ago, I went on my first date since the divorce. Nothing serious, just coffee with a woman. I met through a meetup hiking group I joined. It was awkward AF. I'd forgotten how to have a normal conversation with someone new. But it was a start. The final confrontation. Last week, something unexpected happened. I was at Home Depot buying paint for my new place. Finally got tired of staring at white walls, and when I literally bumped carts with Heather, she looked different. Hair shorter, clothes less flashy. For a split second, neither of us knew what to do. Then she asked if we could talk for a minute. Against my better judgment, I said yes. We sat on a bench outside, both holding our home, depot bags like shields. She started with an actual, genuine apology. No excuses, no blame shifting, just acknowledged how badly she'd hurt me and how she'd been working on herself to understand why she'd done it. I won't lie, part of me was waiting for manipulation, tears, the attempt to get back together. But it never came. She just wanted me to know she was sorry, that she was in therapy too, and that she hoped I was doing okay. Then she told me she was moving to Chicago for a fresh start, had an interview lined up, and was staying with a college friend until she found her own place. The weirdest part? I realized I felt nothing. Not anger, not pain, not even satisfaction at how things had turned out, just nothing. Like watching the finale of a show I'd stopped caring about halfway through. We said goodbye awkwardly. No hug, just a nod. As she walked away, she turned back and said something that stuck with me. I know it doesn't matter now, but I really did love you. I just didn't know how to love anyone properly, including myself. I stood there watching her drive away, thinking about how 6 months ago that interaction would have destroyed me all over again. Now it was just a strange Tuesday afternoon, errand with an unexpected bump into someone from my past. Where I am now. My new place is coming together. It's smaller than the apartment we shared, but it's mine. No emotional landmines, no memories lurking in corners. Just a space that's slowly beginning to feel like home. Work is good. Friends are good. I'm good. Most days anyway. There are still moments when a song comes on or I see something that reminds me of her and it stings. But those moments get fewer and further between. Yesterday, I deleted all the evidence files from my computer. Kept backups on a drive locked in my safe just in case. But I don't need those screenshots and timelines taking up space in my digital life anymore. It felt symbolic somehow, like clearing browser cache, but for my actual life. I've started dating someone new, taking it slow. She knows the basics of what happened, but not the ugly details. She's patient with my trust issues and doesn't push when I need space. It's too early to know if it's going anywhere, but it's nice to feel that mentally. As for Heather, I heard from her mom, who still sends me birthday cards, weirdly, that she's actually doing okay in Chicago. Got the job, found an apartment, making new friends. Part of me is genuinely glad. Not because I wish her well particularly, but because it means this chapter is truly over for both of us. The woman who laughed about me being too stupid to see her betrayal ended up learning the hardest lesson of all, that actions have consequences, that reputations take years to build but moments to destroy, and that once trust is broken, some things can never be repaired. And me? I learned that I'm stronger than I knew, that starting over isn't the same as giving up, and that the best revenge isn't destroying someone else's life. It's rebuilding your own better than before. TLDR. Divorce finalized. Ex-wife. Moved across the country. I'm slowly putting my life back together. The complete dismantling of her life happened mostly through natural consequences, and my renaissance is still a work in progress.